Well, we are live. This is so exciting here at WOIII. So, welcome to our weekly Wisdom Live brought to you by WOII, Women of Impact and Innovation International, honoring women while building the next generation of innovative women leaders. Each month, we'll be focusing on one topic, and each week, we'll be diving into different aspects of that topic. So, we're right in the middle of August, and this month's topic is women in media. What an exciting topic! My name is Sabrina Protic, and I have alongside me Miss Linda Sunshine West. Hi, Linda.
Hello, hello, hello.
Nice having you with us. Linda is going to share with you something that we feel is extremely important: women in media and publishing. That's right, publishing. So if you've ever authored a book, thinking about authoring a book, have some type of online media, magazine, whatever, Linda's going to drop it like it's hot. She's going to tell you all about the value of women in media. So I'm going to leave her to have center stage, and I'll be back later to close us out. You got this, Linda.
Awesome. Thanks, Sabrina, so much for having me today. I'm excited to talk about this because I feel like there aren't enough of us women out there. And I started kind of looking at this to see, like, why are women not stepping up to this? And a lot of times what I've discovered is that there's some sort of fear around it, or maybe there's doubt. Maybe there's like, well, I really don't have a message to share. Who am I? Who's going to listen to me? And this is exactly who I was also about 8 or 9 years ago. At that time, it was 2015. I decided to break through one fear a day for an entire year. Imagine yourself 365 days in a row breaking through different fears. The reason I did that is because I had allowed the previous 51 years of my life to control me based on my fears. There were so many things I didn't do, so many opportunities I didn't jump into because I allowed my fear to control me. Now, you may not be as riddled with fears as I was, but fear is something, it's real. It's something that we all have. We all experience this. I've interviewed, countless people, hundreds and hundreds of people related to fear, just to find out what are different people's fears. And the bottom line came to this, that the vast majority of us have a fear of judgment, a fear of judgment. A fear of judgment stops us from getting onto that stage. It stops us from writing our story. It stops us from publishing our story. It stops us from doing so many things. It stops us from saying yes to things that we really want to say yes to. But what will they think of me? What will they say about me? This is a common thing that goes on. Now, here's my true belief is that more women feel this fear of judgment than men do. And I said, feel this fear of judgment, because the fear of judgment it's a real thing, right? It's anxiety. It's things that are going on inside of our body. We have worry, we have doubt, we have shame. There's so many different things that are tied around to that one fear, which is really ultimately the fear of judgment. So as I was breaking through those fears every single day for a year, I'll share with you briefly how that looked. Is every morning when I woke up, I would ask myself one question, 365 days in a row. Try this. Try it once. Try it once a week. Try it once a month. The question was, what scares me? And then I would lay in bed and I would wait until the very first fear popped into my head. And my commitment, this was a commitment to myself because I knew I wanted something different about my life. My commitment was that I would break through that fear that day, no matter what. I couldn't add them up because if I didn't break through a fear on day one, then I would have 2 fears the next day. And that would just be absolutely debilitating. And I would fail. So I made this commitment to myself. And I'm so glad I did that. I'm not here to talk to you today about fear. I'm not here to talk to you today about you breaking through your fears. I'm here to talk about how breaking through your fears and putting yourself in front of other people can and will change your life. But not only your life, but the life of others as well. There's a wonderful, amazing quote by Maya Angelou. It says, "There is no greater agony than bearing an untold story." Every single one of us has a story to tell. Actually, every single one of us has a multitude of stories to tell. So I'm going to ask you this question, and I know we're not here live today with each other, but if you're watching me live, I would love for you to just answer these questions or answer this one question. It's, have you ever read a book? Have you yourself ever read a book? I'm going to guess that 100% of you have read at least one book while you were in, elementary school, junior high school, college, that you were required to read a book at some point in your life. Then the next question related to that is, have you ever read a book that has transformed your life? Have you ever read a book that has transformed your life? And the reason I ask this question, because you might be sitting there right now saying, well, really, I don't have a message. I don't have a story. I'm telling you that you do have a story. Definitely. You have a story inside of you. And I remember when my mentor highly, highly recommended, twisted my arm basically, to write my book, The Year of Fears. Here it is. It's in print. It is in print. He recommended that I write a book called The Year of Fears, because after I broke through those fears every single day for a year, he said, you need to write a book about this, because there are people out there who need to hear your message about fear, about how fear can transform your life. I wrote the book, and I'm so glad I did, because about 3 months after I wrote the book, I was attending an event, a networking event. There were about 400 people there at this event. It was incredible, like a great event with speakers, networking, and all this. During a break, this woman comes running over to me and she says, Linda Sunshine, I got your book, The Year of Fears. I read the first 14 pages and I already broke through 5 fears. Wow. Somebody read my message and broke through fears. A transformation occurred because she read my message, and a transformation occurred because I decided to share my message. I decided to share my message. If it hadn't been for my mentor even putting that suggestion in my head, if it hadn't been for my mentor telling me you need to do this, I never would have done it. I'm not a writer. I'm not a reader. I was never one of those kids that thought, oh, someday I'm going to be an author. I was not that person. But when my mentor put that challenge in front of me, I was terrified. I didn't want to do it. And I started my book over and over and over again, literally started it over and over and over again for a year and a half. I didn't know how to finish. Here was the challenge. I knew how to start my story, but I didn't know how to finish my story. Why? Because I was still living my story. So many times when people start to write their message, start to write their story, what they do is they think, oh, I can't finish because I don't know where to end because I'm still living it. There's a cutoff point, where we just make a cutoff and we finish, we publish it, we get it out there, because in our head, it's not making an impact. On our computer, it's not making an impact. It makes an impact out there into the world. Who wants to hear your story? Who needs to hear your story? I don't know, but they're out there and they're waiting for you to share it. They're waiting for you to finish that book and put it out there. So what I wanted to share with you today is not about the writing process, but how important it is for us, especially us women, to get our stories out there. Men aren't as much like women, not as many, and they say not as many men are like a lot of us women. And that's that we want our message to be perfect. It has to land at the right person at the right time. There's so many things that are blocking us from actually getting our story out there. But I'm here to share with you today how using your book is a great way to get your message out there, to get you seen and heard. Because your person, Carrie, was her name at that event, your Carrie is waiting for you to share that message. One of the things that happens is when you become a published author, is that it immediately adds credibility and authority to your name. Look at the first 6 letters of the word authority. Author. Those are the first 6 letters. So as an authority in your space, as a credibility in your space, I get asked to speak frequently about breaking through fears. And the reason is because I wrote a book about it to say, I'm the expert in that area. I'm the expert in that field. Come and talk to me about breaking through fears. I get asked to speak a lot on that topic. Before I wrote the book, I was never asked to speak about fear. I was asked to speak about different topics, but never about fear. So it created an instant authority, an instant credibility. Then the more that you share your message, the more opportunities you have to get in front of people who are potential clients for you. By you having a book, being a published author, this adds that credibility to say that, wow, because she's got a book, she must know what she's doing. I need to look at her a little bit more. You know what? I really like her book. I need to go talk to her and then get on a call with them and then potentially turn that into a client. Another thing that it does is it raises that expertise. Now, if we look at media, because we're here today talking about media, is how do you get yourself in the media? If you look at a lot of the media spots, like whether you're talking like ABC, NBC, CBS, like those, those old channels, like back in the day, they're still around. They still have a lot of credibility. But the thing is that there's so many other opportunities for credibility out there today. Just being asked to speak here today, why did Sabrina reach out to me to ask me to speak today? Because I'm an expert in my field, having that expert authority. I became, so far, a 27 times #1 international best-selling author. We have systems in place that help people to get that authorship, to help them to get that credibility by becoming a best-selling author. But that's why I was invited to speak today. If I never got in front of people, if I never shared my message, if I stayed in my office or I stayed in my room, I stayed behind and I never shared that message, Sabrina and Crystal wouldn't even know about me. So I wouldn't be here today. This is media. This right here today is media. It's an opportunity to get up there, share your message, to make a greater impact on the planet. Every single person on this planet has a unique story to tell. Now, you might have received the same results as somebody else doing the same thing, but your message, how you got from here to here, is different. Your story of how you got from here to here is different. Why is this important? Because it's our relation points that create our relationships. When I share my message, when I share my story, I have an opportunity to connect with you. I have this opportunity to connect with you through my story. So when I shared with you that, I broke through a fear every single day for a year, you might not be able to imagine yourself doing that, but you might be able to imagine yourself breaking through a fear. What's a fear that you have right now that you're allowing to stop you from taking that first step, that next step to get to the result that you want? Is it fear of money? Is it fear of talking to people? Is it fear of getting in front of people? Is it fear of starting a conversation? Is it fear of getting your story out there? Is it fear of getting your message out there? I get it, because I had all of those fears. Practically, you can name a fear, and I probably had it. So your unique story is something that media wants to hear. What is your unique story? One of the things I usually share is when I was 5 years old, I ran away and I was gone an entire week. I was gone a week when I ran away. First question people ask me, you could probably guess, that's, where did you go? I just went to the neighbor's house, so I was safe. I was safe, but nobody came to get me. So as you can imagine, at 5 years old, nobody came to get me. A lot of stuff was going through my head, twirling around. And what came from that is they didn't come to get me because they don't love me and they don't want me around. That became my solid belief at age 5. So I walked around with this belief. Now we have these beliefs about ourselves, and these beliefs that we walk around with were instilled with those beliefs usually at a very young age. So at 5 years old, I had this belief that they didn't want me around. They didn't love me. So what I did is I searched for them not loving me and them not wanting me around. This was like my reticular activator system went into high gear. That's the system where we start searching for the things that we are wanting to be true, or the things that we believe to be true. We start searching for them. We go to Google for those today. But back in the day, we didn't go back to Google because there was no such thing. But today we can search on Google for what we're looking for. Back in those days, when I was a little 5-year-old, I was looking for the truth that they don't love me and they don't want me around. And so this is how I lived my life. When I came home from being gone for a week, my mom brought me home after a week. She knew where I was. I didn't know she knew where I was. That was the important piece here. Because of what I believed to be true, it became true for me. The truth of the matter is she knew where I was. She knew I was safe. Why did she let me stay there for a week? I'll never know the answer to that because unfortunately she passed away. So I can't ask her that question. But that's a very unique piece of my story. What's a unique piece of your story? What's that message that you can share to people that make them relate to you? It's through our stories, our messages, that we create our greatest connections with people. Again, our relation points create our relationships. So get your message out there. It's really important to do that. By getting your message out there, it creates this opportunity for you to be seen and be heard, to share your message, to get your message out there. If you're a business owner, to maybe turn into clients. That's going to happen or not, but that's based on you, on what you do with it. We have the opportunity to get out there, but what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? You're able to, with media, you're able to create timely content. So, for example, my message of breaking through fears every day, every single year, I have an opportunity. Actually, I have 2 opportunities every single year to get my message out there, to get on various media outlets. Halloween, because it's centered around scariness, and the New Year, because when we have New Year's resolutions, a lot of times we break those resolutions. But what if I were to be able to teach you the 7 simple steps to break through fear every single time, so that you could accomplish those goals, so that you could finish your resolutions instead of breaking your resolutions? I have 2 opportunities every single year to get in front of different audiences based on just that one topic alone. So you think about what you do, what your message is, and how it can fit into the various, there's a myriad, probably millions of different, International Apple Pie Day, International Fitness Day. Like, there's all these different days that are, centered around different topics all year long. So you think about the topic that you do, the topic that you speak about, that you can tie that into that day, that international day, that national day, whatever it is. You can tie your topic into a lot of different of those days. You can Google it, just find out what are all the international holidays in the world. And you'll find out, like, they'll tell you right there. So that's another thing, is you can get yourself onto social media using your book. Again, I'm an authority in this space. And then how am I going to use that authority to get myself on a show? So if I were to reach out to a media outlet and I say, I'm the best-selling author of the book, The Year of Fears. I'm a #1 best-selling author of the book, The Year of Fears. This adds that credibility so that the news outlets would like to have you on, because you did something a little bit different than anybody else who's speaking about fears. Not everybody writes a book about fears. So thinking about that along that lines, what is your message? What do you want to get out there? And then what's stopping you? What's stopping you from writing your book? Do you not know where to start? Do you, like me, I didn't know where to finish. I ended up hiring a book coach who helped me finish. And so I was able to sit down and write my book with her system that we actually incorporate into our book publishing company today. The system that I learned back then to finish The Year of Fears, we apply today with all of our clients. We give them the system so that they can finish their book. And then how are you going to get your message out there? You do need to get your message out there. Unfortunately, writing a book isn't like the movie, The Field of Dreams. Build it, they will come. Write it, they will read. It's not the way it works. write it, market it, they will buy it, and then they will read. So there's actually a 4-step process when it comes to book publishing, you getting your message out there. But you got to start. Les Brown says it. I love this quote by Les Brown. He says, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. You got to start. What is your message? Who do you want to get in front of? Where are you going to start? When are you going to start? Will you make a commitment to yourself to get started, to get yourself out there in the media? When you show up and you say, I wrote a book, and this one I wrote recently is just a month old. Do it because you're scared. So last thing I want to share is these are your doors of opportunity. These are your doors of opportunity. So if you look at these doors of opportunity, what are you going to do? Are you going to stare at the door? Is this your fear that's stopping you from getting out there? Is this your fear that's stopping you from putting your message on paper? Is this a fear that's stopping you from speaking on stages? If this is a fear, guess what? It's not going to go away. It's not going to go away. It's going to stay there. The more you break through these fears, the easier it becomes for you to just walk right through that door. So if this is fear staring you in the face, I want you to think about this. What step do I need to take in order to break through that fear? The first thing you need to do is you need to peek inside. You need to open that door just a little bit, peek inside and see what's on the other side. What is over there? I have this fear, but what's over there on the other side? Is this what I really want? And if it is, tap into that burning desire. Napoleon Hill talks about this in Think and Grow Rich, the burning desire. What is that burning desire that's deep down inside of you? Les Brown says, you got to be hungry. That's burning desire. That's what that hunger is. It's that hunger that's burning deep down inside. But is your fear stopping you? Is your fear stopping you from breaking through that door so you can get to the other side, so that you can get that result that you want, so that you can fill that hunger? You can feed that hunger. And then this is you walking through. This is you walking through that fear, whatever that fear is. And you know what? There are unforeseen opportunities on the other side. The subtitle of this book is Opening Doors to Conquer and let me start over. Opening Doors to Conquer Fear and Embrace Unforeseen Opportunities. What if you were to look at fear in this perspective? That fear is nothing more than an unforeseen opportunity. I got to tell you that when I broke through those fears every single day, 365 days in a row, I realized my greatest fear was the fear of judgment, but the results I got on the other side of those fears. Sometimes the result I got was, I'm so glad I did that because I got it over with. That was it. That was the result. And I was so glad I did it. I was proud of myself for breaking through that fear. But what happened is the vast majority of my fears, I want to say probably 99% of the time, the results I got on the other side were that I met somebody absolutely incredible who helped to open my mind, my heart, my soul to new possibilities, to new opportunities. I met Crystal through the process. I think I met Crystal in 2015 while I was breaking through those fears every single day. And it was my connection with Crystal that led to me being here today. It was my connection with Crystal that actually introduced me to Sabrina. It was that my connection to Crystal that opened up so many doors. What is that door for you? What are those opportunities that lie on the other side of that door? And I'm going to tell you this. You don't know. You don't know, because you don't want to limit yourself to what you can believe to be true today. One thing I learned so many things that year. It's so many things. The greatest things I learned, they'll all surround themselves around jumping through those doors or opening up those doors and breaking through those fears, because on the other side of those opportunities, I don't know what they are. But I can tell you this, the vast majority of them were absolutely incredible. Changed my entire life. And every single bit of this started with this. Everything that I'm doing today, every single thing I'm doing today started with this book right here. It's called Footsteps of the Fearless. It's a collaboration book. My mentor, Greg Reed, he was writing this book, and he asked me if I wanted to share my story, my message in this book, because I was breaking through a fear every single day that year. This was 2015 when I met him, 2015 when this opportunity showed up. When he asked me to be part of this book, I was scared, but I said yes. And I'm so glad I said yes, because that opened the first door. The first door of opportunity was in a collaboration book, So one of the things we do is we bring people into our collaboration books. Sabrina is in one of our books called Wellness for Winners. And we bring people into these collaboration books where they share only one story, one short story. It's an opportunity to get your message out there, to be seen and be heard by an audience of people who are waiting to hear your message. That first opportunity that I took was the start of everything. That from there, I'm now a 27 times #1 international best-selling author and counting. I have 2 more books coming out this month, and then we have another one that's coming out in November. So all these opportunities have shown themselves, and it's all because I opened that first door of opportunity. And then I kept going. I didn't let that first door stop me from opening up the next door. So what is that door of opportunity that's staring you in the face right now? What is that door of opportunity? Are you ready to step through it? Are you ready to get your message out there? Are you ready to make a greater impact on the planet? Because us alone, we can do so much, but together we can do so much more. We can make that greater impact. It's so awesome when you're aligned with people like WOIII. You're aligned with this incredible community of people who want to support you, who want to see you succeed. Are you willing to take the steps to do it? We can only support so much. But you got to take those steps. So with that said, my name is Linda Sunshine West. I'm a 27 times #1 international best-selling author. I'm a speaker. I'm a coach. I help people to get their messages into the world to make a greater impact on the planet. The founder and CEO of Action Takers Publishing. I'm a red carpet interviewer and an author, writer for Brains Magazine and Entrepreneur Magazine. I'm so glad that I've had the opportunity to share with you today. I'm hoping that for one person out there that you heard my message and you're like, you know what? I'm going to do this. So thank you so much, Sabrina Crystal, for inviting me. And Sabrina, if you're there, I'd love to have you come up and there you are. Hello.
Hi, I have just been enjoying this so much. And you took it to a different level, because unless you open that door, there's not going to be a media opportunity.
Exactly.
That's what you're saying. And I'm like, wow, she had to go from the embryo stages. So you had to go way back to creating or seizing the opportunity to have something where you can utilize media. So you've got to open the door. Don't be afraid to take that step. Authoring a book, a magazine, look, you're doing a magazine, you're a writer now, people do freelance work, but you've got to get yourself out there. And I want to give Linda a few more kudos. So I'm actually in 2 of your book collaborations, the book I read and Wellness for Winners. That's right. And both of them went international bestseller. So let me explain to you why that's important. I just recently released a book myself, and I didn't use Linda for that because I was already contracted with someone else, and I told her that. So otherwise, she'd have been my #1 choice. I did that like 3 years ago. I contracted for 2 books, but I missed that international bestseller achievement because I didn't work with Linda, and she knows how to do that. And I remember reaching out to her during that process. I'm, Linda, what do I do? What do I do? She says, well, it's not as easy as you think, Sabrina. There's things that you have to do. And she told me this, that, and the other one. I wasn't skilled at that. I didn't know that, So what I'm saying is, take your commitment seriously. First, make the commitment, decide, open that door. but hire your weakness. Don't be afraid to do that. You cheat yourself out of things. If you go cheap, you're going to get cheap, right?
Oh, that's
If
good.
you invest in yourself, you're going to get a return on that investment. That's just the way it is. And so if you work with someone like Linda that knows how to get you to those levels, it's worth it to make that investment. Because if you want to get to the top, work with someone who's been to the top multiple times. What did she say? 27 times. Work with someone who's doing that. And that's why I asked her to come here. I was getting some marketing cards together for Linda. I know you're not going to be there, but I want to mention our summit coming up.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have an author table, and I was getting a card to go in the bag. And I had an opportunity of getting a small one or a big one. And the big one's costing more money. And I was talking to the guy, says, yeah, well, if I get some small, they won't notice. It'll be a throwaway. So, oh, I see what you're trying to do. So you're trying to get attention. If you want attention, you got to go big. And I said, you know what? It's not only do I want to go big, I have to invest in myself. So I need to spend the money to go bigger, right?
Yes.
Because I'm going to get what I put out. If I put out chintzy, I'm going to get chintzy. Is that right, Linda?
That is exactly right, because it's an investment, and that's the thing is, because you're the money lady, right? But it's investment in ourselves, because when we invest in ourselves, it helps us to expand and to grow. And sometimes it can be scary, yes, to make those investments, especially if you're like, it's that much, but really it's overall looking at the big picture. Like when I look at investments nowadays, I used to have those blinders on, and I would look at investments as, today, the money that I have today. And then I remember when I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, by Robert Kiyosaki, and it said, instead of asking yourself, I saying I can't afford this, ask yourself, how can I afford this? And I just started changing my language, like, how can I afford this? Because money is abundant. Money is abundant. And just when you need it, it will come if you're asking for it. You have to ask the right way and stuff. But it's fascinating how we limit ourselves so much, Sabrina, through our mindset of not believing in ourselves. It's not believing in the other person. It's believing in ourselves. And so we don't invest in ourselves.
Right, exactly. So I know there are a lot of women authors out there, and maybe you didn't achieve #1 bestseller nationally or internationally. And a question I want to put out to you is, did you use a Linda? Did you utilize a Linda? Someone who knows how to get you there? And were you willing to invest? Because let's face it, you want people to buy your book. You want them to invest in your book. They're spending money on you. So are you willing to spend money on you? And if you are, invest in someone who knows how to work the media. I tell you what comes with her is, we didn't tell, there's press releases that she offers. There's opportunities to be on podcasts. I cannot tell you how many podcasts and streaming opportunities I had working with her on both my books, because she's connected to so many people. 15, 20 of us could be on this program, that showcasing yourself as an author in her book. So you want that. You got to work with someone that can help you push your book out there. And that's watching those numbers. Linda's watching those numbers constantly. Say, oh, we're at #2, we're at #1. And you're getting that feedback constantly. Someone that's doing that for you, and you don't have to sweat it and call 10 of your friends and say, hey, can you buy my book? That's what she does. So yeah, it's important. Women in media, invest in yourself, know the value, know your goals, what you want, and be willing to invest in it. So we're going to call this a wrap right now. We want to thank you for joining us today. And we hope that today's innovative nuggets of wisdom have inspired you to take action towards an even greater life. Join us each week live or hit the replay. For more information and to join us as a moderator, such as I am, Miss Linda, or become a board member or attend our annual Powerful Women Summit in August, see our website at WOIII. That's 3 I's. That's Women O and 3 I's, III.com, or reach out to myself or Crystal Richardson for details. We want you to have a great week and continue to live each day unapologetically with honor and gratitude. And remember, Keep rising because, woman, you are powerful. And we hope to see you at our summit in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, August 25th through the 27th. You don't want to miss that. Bye for now.